Something is shifting in the world of Outlander, and it starts with a single word most fans will overlook. Abies Fraser. It sounds like nothing more than the scientific name for a tree. Quiet, harmless, almost poetic. But in a story where every stone, every symbol, and every name carries hidden weight, nothing is ever just a tree. Season 8, Episode the 3rd of may be the moment where Outlander finally begins answering the one question fans have asked since the very first episode. Why was Claire the one chosen by the stones? Why did she, out of everyone, end up standing in front of Abies Fraser in 1743? The trailer for this episode doesn't give a clear answer, but it plants clues so deliberate, so carefully placed, that once you notice them, you can't unsee them. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this episode might be the true turning point of the entire series, and why Claire's destiny may have never truly belonged to her alone. The title of Episode 3, Abies Fraser, seems simple at first glance. It's the scientific name for the Fraser fir, a tree that has grown in the mountains of North Carolina for centuries. On the surface, it feels like a quiet nod to the setting, a small detail meant to ground the story in its natural surroundings. But Outlander has never been a show that names things without purpose. Trees, stones, and land have always carried meaning far beyond their physical presence, acting almost like silent witnesses to the strange forces moving through Claire and Jamie's story. And when you look closely at this trailer, that meaning starts to feel bigger than ever before. As the episode opens, life at Fraser's Ridge is slowly trying to return to something resembling peace. But the trailer makes it clear that peace here is fragile, almost temporary. The Ridge has always been more than just land to Jamie and Claire. It has been their sanctuary, the one place meant to hold their family together despite war, loss, and betrayal. Yet even now, something about the land itself feels different. The trailer lingers on quiet moments of Claire walking through the forest, moments that feel far more meaningful than simple scenery. These aren't just peaceful shots meant to slow the pacing down. They feel like the show is trying to tell us something without saying it directly, and that's exactly where the mystery begins. For years, fans have wondered why Claire was able to travel through the stones in the first place. Was it random chance? Was it fate? Or was she always meant to become part of something much bigger than her own story? This trailer doesn't answer that question outright, but it starts pulling on threads that suggest the answer may finally be coming. Claire has always been a woman driven by logic and medicine, someone who trusts facts over faith. But even she has had to accept that some things in her life defy scientific explanation. The stones, the visions, and the strange pull she has felt towards certain moments in history all point towards something deeper than coincidence. And in this trailer, that pull seems stronger than ever. One of the most striking parts of the preview is how it connects Claire's story directly to the land surrounding Fraser's Ridge. Jamie has always believed the Ridge was their destiny, the place where their family was always meant to take root. But destiny in Outlander has never been simple, and the trailer hints that the land itself may be hiding secrets that even Jamie and Claire don't fully understand yet. There's a lingering sense throughout the preview that Claire's journey has always been building towards something far bigger than anyone imagined. Her time travel has often been treated as rare but not entirely unique, especially now that Roger and Brianna have also traveled through the stones. But Claire's experience has always felt different in a way the show refuses to fully explain. She didn't just move through time, she changed it. Her presence altered the course of the Jacobite Rising, shaped the outcome of the Revolutionary War, and set into motion a ripple effect that stretches across generations. And this trailer seems ready to finally ask the question fans have been afraid to say out loud. What if Claire was never simply a traveler moving between 2 points in time? What if she has always been a piece holding the entire timeline together? The trailer doesn't give us the full picture yet, but the way it lingers on the forest, on the Fraser fir trees, and on Claire's quiet uncertainty tells us that Episode 3 is about to change everything we thought we understood about her destiny. As the trailer continues, it becomes clear that this episode isn't just about rebuilding life at Fraser's Ridge. It's about Claire slowly waking up to a truth she has spent years avoiding. Throughout the series, Claire has accepted her time travel as something strange but accidental, a twist of fate she stumbled into rather than something she was ever meant to be part of. She touched the stones, heard the buzzing sound, and found herself thrown 2 centuries into the past. It was terrifying and confusing, but over time she convinced herself it was simply something that happened to her, not something designed for her. This trailer starts chipping away at that belief in ways that feel impossible to ignore. One of the most important hints comes from the way the preview draws a quiet parallel between Claire's journey and Roger's experience back in Season 7. When Roger traveled through the stones searching for his son, he didn't end up in a random point in history. He was pulled toward a moment directly tied to his own existence, almost as if the stones knew exactly where he needed to be. That twist revealed something crucial about how time travel actually works in this universe. It doesn't seem random at all. It seems to guide travelers toward moments connected to their own purpose. And now, this trailer begins suggesting that the same rule might apply to Claire, and always has. If you look back at the moment Claire first arrived in 1743, it becomes almost unsettling how perfectly timed everything was. Out of every possible place and moment she could have landed, she appeared almost directly in Abies Fraser's path. Their meeting changed the course of history, not just for the two of them, but for generations that followed. If the stones truly guide travelers toward moments of purpose rather than random chance, then Claire meeting Jamie may have never been an accident at all. It may have always been the plan. The trailer hints at this idea without stating it directly, but the implication feels stronger than ever before. Adding to this mystery is a detail the preview seems to emphasize quietly but deliberately, the pattern of Claire always being pulled back into the past no matter how hard she tries to build a life elsewhere. Even after spending 20 years in the 20th century raising Brianna, the pull of the stones eventually brought her back to Jamie. And once she returned, she found herself placed directly in the middle of some of the most important historical turning points of the era. That kind of pattern becomes far too consistent to be dismissed as coincidence, and the trailer seems fully aware of that. This section of the preview also brings back a name fans have never quite forgotten, Master Raymond. From the moment he appeared in Paris, Raymond spoke about time travel as if it were part of something much bigger than a single stone or a single journey. He suggested that people like Claire belonged to a rare lineage, individuals capable of interacting with time in ways others simply couldn't. His words felt cryptic back then, almost like riddles Claire wasn't ready to understand, but the trailer brings his presence back into focus in a way that feels far too intentional to ignore. If travelers like Claire are truly part of an ancient lineage, then the idea that the stones choose people at random becomes harder and harder to believe. Instead, it raises a chilling possibility. Certain people may be born with a role to play within the timeline itself, a purpose greater than love, greater than survival, and greater than personal choice. And if that's true for Claire, then everything she has done throughout the series, every decision, every sacrifice, and every moment she thought was simply her own choice, may have actually been leading her towards something set in motion long before she ever touched the stones. This is where the trailer starts feeling less like a simple preview and more like a warning, hinting that the answers Claire has been avoiding for years are finally about to catch up with her dots. As the trailer moves further into its runtime, the mystery surrounding Claire's destiny begins pulling in another direction, one tied directly to the land surrounding Fraser's Ridge itself. The forests near the ridge have stood for centuries, long before Jamie and Claire ever built a life there. Indigenous communities once walked those same paths, shaping their lives around the rhythms of nature and passing down stories that stretch back generations. In many cultures, places like these are believed to hold a certain kind of energy, locations where the boundary between worlds becomes thinner than anywhere else. Outlander has hinted at this idea before, but this trailer seems ready to explore it far more directly than the show ever has. The implication is unsettling once you sit with it. What if Fraser's Ridge isn't just a home built by the Fraser family? What if the land itself has always been connected to the same ancient forces that power the standing stones? The trailer lingers on the towering Fraser fir trees just long enough to make this feel intentional rather than accidental. These aren't just background details meant to set the scene. They feel like quiet confirmation that the land, the trees, and the stones are all part of the same mystery Claire has spent her entire journey trying to understand. As Claire reflects on her experiences throughout the preview, small patterns begin surfacing that feel impossible to ignore. The buzzing sound of the stones, the visions certain travelers experience, and the emotional pull guiding people towards specific moments in history all point towards something deeper than a simple doorway between centuries. Time travel in this universe has never been random, and the trailer makes it clear that Claire is finally starting to accept that truth for herself. This section of the preview also brings back whispers of old legends buried deep within the forests surrounding the ridge, stories about travelers who walked between worlds long before Claire ever touched a standing stone. These legends are the kind of thing easy to dismiss as folklore or superstition, but Outlander has always proven that old stories tend to hold more truth than anyone expects. If these legends are real, they could hold the exact answer to why Claire was chosen by the stones in the first place, and why her connection to this land feels stronger than anyone else's. The trailer doesn't confirm this outright, but it plants the idea firmly enough that it becomes impossible to ignore. And this is where things become even more complicated. Because if the stones intentionally guide certain travelers toward moments they are meant to influence, then Claire's role in history stops being a coincidence and starts becoming something closer to a responsibility she never fully understood. Throughout the series, Claire has quietly shaped major historical events without even realizing the weight of what she was doing. She altered the outcome of the Jacobite Rising. She protected key figures during the Revolutionary War. She prevented outbreaks of disease that could have devastated entire communities. At the time, these felt like isolated acts of survival, decisions made simply to protect the people she loved. But if her journey through time was always meant to preserve the timeline itself, then every one of those moments may have been leading towards something far greater than personal survival. This trailer seems to be building toward exactly that realization, forcing Claire and the audience along with her to question whether she was ever truly free to make her own choices, or whether she has been walking a path already written long before she ever touched the stones. And if that's true, the biggest question still remains completely unanswered. If Claire's journey was never just about finding Jamie, then what exactly was she always meant to do? As the trailer moves toward its final moments, everything begins circling back to the one relationship that has always defined Claire's entire journey, her connection to Abies Fraser. Their love story has always felt powerful enough to exist outside the normal rules of time itself. But this trailer starts hinting at something far more complicated than a simple romance shaped by fate. What if Jamie was never just the man Claire happened to fall in love with after being thrown into the past? What if his role in the timeline was just as essential as her own? The preview suggests that Jamie's leadership, his connections, and the family he built with Claire may have all been necessary pieces of a much larger design, one that reaches far beyond their personal happiness. Together, they created a legacy that stretched into the future through Brianna, Roger, and their children, and without that legacy, entire historical outcomes might have unfolded completely differently. This is what makes the implications of this trailer feel so much bigger than a simple episode preview. For the first time, the story seems ready to suggest that Claire's journey through the stones wasn't only about survival or love. It may have always been about making sure certain events in history happened exactly the way they were meant to happen. And if that idea is true, then the stones didn't just send Claire into the past at random. They may have sent her exactly where she was always destined to be. Adding even more weight to this mystery, the trailer seems to circle back toward a thread fans have debated since the earliest seasons of the show: the strange and unexplained appearance of Jamie's ghost in the 20th century. Long before Claire ever touched the stones herself, Frank Randall saw a mysterious Highlander standing outside their window late at night. At the time, it felt like nothing more than an eerie, unexplained moment, almost like a ghost story with no clear purpose. But now, as the series moves closer to its final chapters, that moment suddenly feels far more important than anyone originally realized. If Claire's journey through time was truly part of something bigger, then Jamie's ghost appearing decades before their story even began may not be a coincidence either. It might be one of the biggest clues about how time actually works in this universe. For years, both Claire and Jamie believed that time moved in a single direction, flowing forward through the stones from one century into another. But the idea of Jamie appearing in a future he hasn't lived yet suggests something far more unsettling. Time in Outlander may not move in a straight line at all. It may move in a circle, where the past, present, and future are constantly influencing each other in ways no one fully understands. This trailer seems to be building toward exactly that idea, hinting that many of the moments Claire once believed were random coincidences may actually fit together like pieces of a much larger puzzle she still hasn't fully solved. And this leads to the most unsettling thought of all: the possibility that the timeline already knows its own outcome, and that travelers like Claire aren't changing history at all. They might simply be fulfilling events that were always meant to happen exactly the way they unfolded. If that's true, then Claire's choices, her sacrifices, and every moment she believed was hers alone may have never truly belonged to her in the first place. So as episode 3 approaches, one question lingers louder than any other. If the stones have been guiding Claire's entire life toward this exact moment, is she finally ready to accept the truth about her destiny? Or is the answer about to be far more devastating than anyone, including Claire herself, could ever be prepared for?